Well, hello there. We're back. David Bacon, co-author of The Beatles England, with his co-author, Norman Maslov. Um, just a little bit of business first. I got a couple or one PayPal thing from the book, but there was no name and address. So I emailed you back. I haven't heard in 2 days. Where am I going to send the friggin' book? So if you're going to do that through PayPal, you can send an email or do it through there so I see your address. I don't know where to send it. That's it. Okay. Um, this is a very special recording. This is April, mid-April, early April 2020, during the coronavirus. We're all hunkered down. It's a it's a spiritual world, it's a religious world, it's an atheist world, it's an agnostic world, and we present to you Beatles Christ Superstar. Actually, it's not just about Christ. That was my friend, the archivist, that came up with that name. She said, "Oh, you're going to do your Beatle Christ Superstar video?"
It's the gospel according to the Beatles,
Yeah, exactly. This is a spiritual journey through
or
Beatles music.
since it's Passover, why is this band different than all other bands?
Yes, Passover starts. This is tomorrow. So when you're watching this might be during Passover, after Passover. So on Passover, for all you Jewish viewers out around the world, just remember, leave the door open for Elijah, right? You leave that empty chair for Elijah, but make sure you're 6 feet away from Elijah. Okay. That's a joke if you're if you're Jewish. But take it away, David.
The Beatles and there's one song that I think. Well, there's a lot of songs actually. Let's start with this one though. Imagine by John Lennon, and this is the fancy box that came out last year. John Lennon's got a lot of guts, you know that? I think the song Imagine will be his signature song. It'll be decades, century from now. It's the one song people will remember by John Lennon.
It already is 50 years after his death.
40 years. Yeah. And the fact that, New Year's Eve, they sing it, at the Times Square. But imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
That's so interesting.
Oh, hell below it's above us only sky. I mean, and that is
really an anti-religious song.
Well, it's,
agnostic.
Imagine, yeah. But the fact that that it is such a well-known song. I think, I have a lot of colleagues who are not particularly into music, but they know that song, and they all refer to it as a Beatles song. The song Imagine by the Beatles.
Interesting, because there was a thing just this past week. It went viral, as shown on CNN, about those two doctors outside on the steps of one hospital. I think it was on the East Coast, outside of New York, in the Bronx, and they were singing Imagine like on their break. And one had a guitar, and this black guy was singing a really soulful. And of course, they were interviewed on CNN, and it was everywhere. It's become one of those, I'm sorry, that's Wings, but the Kumbaya song of the Beatles, aside from All You Need Is Love.
Do people actually listen to it though?
Well, some people. I did listen to NPR had a thing last year, I believe, of songs that we love but we don't ever want to hear again. And one was Hallelujah, which is not a Beatles song. Leonard Cohen and Jeff Buckley and a lot of other people. And the other one was Imagine. We love it. It's a perfect record. It's a perfect song, but shut the fuck up. I want to do a warning. I didn't say the warning at the beginning. We might offend some people. David and I are, well, David, if you don't, I'm agnostic, which I used to be atheist. I used to be a believer. I'm brought up Jewish. I'm agnostic. If you don't know what that means, it means prove it. It hasn't been proven. So I'm really on the atheist side. David, if you want.
David, I'm a hardcore atheist.
Okay.
Well, go ahead, Norm.
Yeah, but we're both spiritually aware. I think we love both of us gospel music, Christian gospel, soulful stuff, something very spiritual. To me, the perfect spiritual artist, aside from the Beatles, is someone like Nick Cave, who talks about angels and God and death and sex and that side of it. I know I'm getting off, but
You're getting off. Oh,
I'm
um,
getting off. My salamander.
you got a cocktail.
Water.
Um, we started off with Imagine. What do you got?
Well, I got something that to me is really. I'm going to do them both this time since it is a double A side, or I'm saying it's a double A side. But Lady Madonna and the Inner Light, a great single. It's kind of when the Beatles went back to rock and roll after doing psychedelic for a couple of years and going in that direction. Paul does this kind of just funky boogie woogie piano song, Lady Madonna, and which is really Lady Madonna is the Virgin Mary, the Virgin friggin' Mary. And Paul used to say, he goes, I didn't know till years later, someone in America said, how come he didn't say Saturday? He says every friggin' day of the week, and he doesn't sing about Saturday. He goes, well, maybe that's the night you get drunk. So that's when the Virgin Mary, or that's when Madonna, the Virgin Mary.
It's the Sabbath.
Sure. Obviously, it's my Sabbath. The B-side, obviously, is the great song, The Inner Light, which to me is one of George's sort of pure Indian songs. He did this around the time he was recording Wonderwall. I think some of it was recorded in India. I'm not sure if the Indian musicians, no. Wonderwall was recorded in India, maybe not this. And the only Beatles, it's only Paul and John on harmonies. Otherwise, there's no other Western instruments on this song. And I didn't really get it right away. And this is, to me, one of the three great, pure, sort of purest in George's way, pure Indian songs. And the other one obviously would be Within You, Without You. And then what's the third one I'm blanking out on?
Love You Too?
Possibly. That's more Western. But anyway, someone's going to write that there, and we're going to get tons of corrections that we said the wrong friggin' thing. But to me, the Inner Light, it's, the further one travels, the farther one goes and all that. In fact, those of you who watch Instagram and on Facebook, there's a whole Danny Harrison and this movement, this charity movement, wants people to do their versions of the Inner Light. And I just heard a wonderful version of Anushka Shankar, which is, I saw it yesterday, which is Ravi Shankar's son. By the way, we're recording this on Ravi Shankar's 100th birthday. So I'm doing this double A single as very spiritual in their own way, in the Beatle way.
Great, one of the great Beatle B-sides, I think. I love that song. What's a great version of that is on the you did it on your Ravi Shankar one, the Concert for George.
Yep. And
in the middle of the Ravi Shankar suite with all the Indian musicians, I think Jeff Lynne sings it, doesn't he?
He does.
And a very beautiful version of that.
Yeah, Anushka is the leader, the band, not the band leader, the conductor of the Indian musicians on that. Just gorgeous, stunning piece.
What do we got? Christ, it ain't easy. You know how hard it can be. So this is, I pulled the, where is it? See the box set right there of singles. So this was Gutsy putting out, actually, another Gutsy John one. I'm surprised it's a Beatles single because it's really a solo song.
All on drums and bass.
Great version on the recent White Album or Abbey Road box set.
Right.
With just the basic tracks. But the whole Christ thing in with John, I thought I would chat about that a little bit. First of all, that single, there's an Australian, I think, somebody will correct, version of that where they edited out the word Christ. So, it ain't easy. You know how hard it can be. John has a complex history with Jesus. I was going to talk about the whole Beatles are more popular than Jesus. I wrote out the quote here. So in 1966, he's talking to a reporter, and he says, "Christianity will vanish and shrink I needn't argue about that. I'm right, and I'll be proved right. And we're more popular than Jesus now. And I don't know which will go first, rock and roll or Christianity. Jesus was all right, but his disciples were thick and ordinary. It's them that's twisted and ruined it for me. And that hit the American press just as the Beatles were getting ready to launch their last tour in August of '66. And boy, did the shit hit the fan. There was a press conference in Chicago where they started the tour, and John had to apologize. And he's a pretty ballsy guy. And this clip, he is visibly scared.
You can see how scared he is.
And he was just nervous because I think they all feared that this was going to wreck the Beatles' career.
Well, they're traveling through, going through the Bible Belt, especially in America. And that was right after all these radio stations in the South, southern states were telling people to get their Beatle records and burn them and bring them to the burnings and stuff.
And they did burn them, yeah.
They did. There's tons of video. What's great about the Ruddles is the people bought records just to burn them, so the sales went up.
We were talking about planning this show the other day. It's like at the time, the current Beatle record album was Yesterday and Today. And so a lot of people probably burnt their copy. And most of them were probably what's called second state butcher covers. Second state means has the trunk cover pasted over it, so, right. Which are worth thousands now. So jokes on them.
I remember when Ballad of John Yoko came out, the Beatles sent footage to one of the shows on ABC. I don't know if it was whatever. There was a rock and roll. It might be the one David.
The music scene or something. Music like
scene.
That, yeah.
And on that they censored the Christ. You know, it ain't easy. Yeah, that brings me. Well, that brings me. Let's stay on John for a moment there, because his whole complexity with religion and everything. On obviously his first solo, official solo music solo album, not to be confused with the Two Virgins volumes. God is this concept by which we measure our pain. I don't believe. He goes through all the things he doesn't believe in. I don't believe in Jesus Christ, or I believe in me. I don't believe in Beatles. I believe in me, Yoko and me, and that's reality. The dream is over. That's pretty ballsy too. That got played at least on the FM stations in San Francisco.
That's when that album came out. So we were 15-ish when that came out. In the middle of high school sometime.
16, yeah.
Something like that. I was going through a lot of, this is why I love the Beatles. And I was going through a lot of, you're growing up and you're becoming who you're going to be as an adult. And I was coming to terms with religion. My family grew up Episcopalian. I was confirmed there, and but I never kind of bought it. And I remember in high school, myself and a friend put out a little mimeographed underground newspaper called The Atheist. I got all sorts of shit trouble for that.
I remember that.
You remember that?
You and Dave
Long. Dave Long, wherever you are.
Yeah.
When this album came out, I remember.
I was going through Larry and I were going through. We're friends. We were like competition filmmakers in high school, and Larry and I just had gotten back from Israel on confirmation class, so we were going through our semi-Zionist period. I started teaching Sunday school. I was really into the Jewish thing. So continue.
But what I remember when this album came out, I heard it first on the radio. So KSAN, the FM. What is that? Lennon and the Jews.
John Lennon and the Jews. Every once I'm going to throw in a book that relates.
Okay. I heard that song on the radio on KSAN. I taped it, a little boom box with a cassette recorder in there. And I was taping these songs as they came up. That song stopped me cold. Stop it. What is that one? The Gospel According to Beatles. There we go. I couldn't believe what he was singing in that song. And the whole litany of things he doesn't believe in. That's a stupid book.
They keep putting them out, and I keep buying them.
One of those ones they keep putting out about it. I was literally speechless listening to that song.
You're gobsmacked.
God by John Lennon. Although at the time, and this is, At the time, the list of things. There's a lot of things in that list I didn't know what I didn't know what Gita was. I didn't know what mantra was. I don't know, maybe a couple others. So I've learned.
This is interesting because this is basically more or less parts of it is an interview with John Lennon from heaven, from at least from the author's point of view. It was an interview with John Lennon after he died.
I'm sure it's very insightful.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
My turn. What do I got? I'm gonna stick with John Lennon. No, I'm gonna go to Paul.
Yeah, because you don't think of Paul aside.
I don't think of Paul.
I forgot about Paul.
Who's Paul? Well, he died. Right. Paul doesn't actually have a lot that I think fit the theme, but he's got. I picked 3 songs that I think are kind of gospel-y sounding, and so that works.
After the ball, after the ball, after the ball. After the ball, he does have a. I mean,
from what was that?
Back to the Egg.
Back to the Egg. See, I actually pulled the vinyl on this.
He's got that soulful Southern gospel thing when he plays the piano. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna hit it on Let It Be, but right there, man, that's where it started in a way, right?
Yes. So is Let It Be on our list?
Well, I just happen to have it here. But you can keep talking about Paul, and I'll just show this. Let It Be. Mother Mary, come to me. Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. How religious is that?
Interesting about that song is that on the White Album box set that came out 2 years ago, there was a sort of jam full band version of Let It Be, and I think he sang Mother or Brother Malcolm came to me, or Brother Michael. Ooh, the White Album. Anyway, nobody knew that the song actually went back as far as the White Album era, because if you listen to the Twickenham stuff, there's tapes of Paul teaching the song to the band.
Paul has that piano thing that you're talking about, that like after the ball, that he does that piano, that very gospel-y, like Ray Charles, Fats Domino thing that he's very into. He does it when he plays Lady Madonna, that kind of piano, soulful Southern American thing. And he's just so good at it. And when he can belt it out, when his voice was strong and he belts that vocals, he doesn't. I mean, another reason why a song like Let It Be has been covered by so many Black artists, especially. I think probably more, I don't know if this is someone's going to correct me. I think Black artists recovered more of Paul songs than John songs, possibly. Maybe Imagine or something like that.
Be right.
I don't think of many Black artists doing I'm the Eggman. I could be wrong.
Other Paul gospel songs on here, The Light in the Lighthouse. This is Electric Arguments, the Firemen. That's a cover, I think. There's an old song, Shine a Light on Me. I think it's a cover. I don't know. And the other one is, I forgot to pull the record. Elvis Costello and Paul McCartney's song.
From Flowers?
Yeah, That Day Is Done.
Yeah.
One of the collaborations.
Got that same honky.
Yeah, that same sort of gospel, country gospel sound.
But it's the piano again. It's that piano that nails it. He loves doing that, just jamming,
You should, yes, very good.
Right. Well, I'm going to go back to Let It Be, just because Jai Guru Deva Om, Across the Universe, the song that George Martin says when he was asked what's the best Beatle lyric, he says, words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither widely as they make a way across the universe, pools of sorrow, waves of joy. Da, 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 da. There's a lot of versions of this song. This was a cool comp that came out. And I remember finding it. It seemed rare to get because it was an import. The Beatles donated the song for the World Wildlife Fund, and it was a donation record, basically a charity album, and put together in the UK, and it has Cilla Black, What the World Needs Now Is Love. It's got Cuddly Old Koala by Rolf Harris. Boy, does that bring on new Rolf Harris, Cuddly Old Koala. Think about it. It's got a song called Wings by the Hollies. It's got Spike Milligan, Ning Nang Nong, Spike Milligan, the Python. It's got the Bee Gees, Marley Pert Drive, their song that sounds like a band song from Odessa. Anyway, Lulu, I'm a Tiger. But it's got the Beatles, Across the Universe. And Dave is going to tell you which version, basically with birds.
With the birds. It's actually the same version.
Well, but it's got the.
It's different mixes. They slowed it down for Let It Be.
Right.
And stripped off everything, and Phil Spector added the orchestra.
There's a lot of different versions.
I don't think they've ever made a perfect record of that song.
Do you like that? Is it on Naked? Let It Be Naked?
It's on Naked, right? My favorite version is on Anthology 2, 3,
Yeah.
Which has just guitar and a bit of a tambura, one of the basic takes.
Okay.
Very pretty. My turn. Back to John. John, now what do you think? Beatles and drugs.
Drugs and religion got to go together in the 60s. And again, not to offend any religious people or any druggies, but there is sort of this thing about mind expansion, drugs, and seeing God and seeing religion and seeing heaven.
So, will you stop doing it? Stop doing it. You're distracting me because I'm trying to say Bodega Bay.
Yeah, it's with the birds, the birds.
Yeah. Mr. Zimmerman, which, as aforementioned, John Lennon does not believe in. Bob Dylan went into his Jesus phase in the late 70s, became a born-again Christian, and Slow Train Coming and Saved and all that sort of stuff. Great box set, that the bootleg series with Bob Dylan, which is a whole other video.
Absolutely. Wonderful set.
Like 11 discs on that one. Anyway, that was, while that was going on with Mr. Dylan, that was in the middle of John's sort of house husband era when he was home raising Sean. But he was busy making songs, and one of the demos that he made, a very funny song, is an answer to Bob Dylan's "You Gotta Serve Somebody." It may not be the devil, it may not be the Lord, but you gotta serve somebody. And John's version is called "You Gotta Serve Yourself," and more vinyls. So it can be found on this
bootleg.
There's a Lost Lennon tapes
from the show, radio show.
From the radio show. Another version on this.
Can you paraphrase it, or do you remember the words?
It's funny because I pulled out this is the part about getting old. I pulled out the lyrics. It was also released officially on John Lennon Anthology. And so a nice little booklet with the lyrics, and you have to be a lot younger than I am to be able to
glass. You can't see any of that? I would have pulled it because I could read it with my glasses.
But it's,
if you don't believe in this,
you got to serve yourself. And he did a couple of demos of it. The funniest one is the acoustic guitar one where he ad libs, and the lyrics are not for prime time. It's very, very funny song.
But they could be for this video, for my channel, because I do click the box not for children. You have to do that on YouTube now. So, all right, well, that's a funny thing. Search it out. I bet you it's on YouTube somewhere. You got to search.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm going to show this. This is called the White Album. This is my original American copy, numbered. And I'm going to include, I'm bringing in Sexy Sadie. Because again, this whole video, as much as it's about religion, it's about the spirituality. The Beatles were looking for something. The Beatles were searching. And they got hooked into the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, went to Bangor and spent some time with the Maharishi, and then was invited on a pilgrimage. The Beatles England wasn't out yet, so they couldn't take that make that pilgrimage. So they went, and Donovan was there. Mia Farrow's girlfriend, who is Prudence,
Sister.
Excuse me.
Sister.
There's the Woody Allen connection. And they wrote, John wrote his song.
Mike Love was up there too, from the Beach Boys.
Pardon me?
Mike Love from the Beach Boys.
Yeah. But John Lennon wrote this song. The original lyrics you can hear on, was it on the box set? I can't remember if it was on the box. No.
I don't think there is a version with the original lyrics.
Okay. It's called Maharishi, You Made a Fool of Everyone. In fact, I believe is it in Let It Be, they talk about it a little bit. There's a little segment they're talking about the Maharishi, and obviously he changed the lyrics to Sexy Sadie, You Made a Fool of Everyone. After all is said and done, they were they were turned off by the experience. Apparently Maharishi was hitting up on some of the babes, some of the women there. And,
go to the window.
Hey, you want to see under my skirt? I know we shouldn't make fun of that, but it wasn't in the end a great experience. And a lot of that stuff kind of turned them off, except for George. Maybe Dave should go into George soon. No?
Well, I'm gonna stick with the White Album. I'm gonna stick with the White.
Okay, fair enough.
So it's white. This is the box set. By White. Great. Is that the White Album or the box?
You got to stop getting, don't look at me. Don't look at just do your thing.
That's my number. So up at the Maharishi camp, Rishikesh, spring of 1968, they write a ton of songs. And there are two songs, one by John, one by Paul. I would like to hear the story behind them, because I imagine that they were, they're all up there in their meditation and in their kumbaya sort of, back to nature mood, and maybe one of the talks or lectures by the Maharishi. But they both write a very similar song. One's good, one piece of crap. Paul wrote Mother Nature's Son, which ended up on the White Album. And John's version is called Child of Nature. Son, child, nature. They were both demoed. I would like to know who did they spontaneously both come up with a very similar song with the same title? Did one write and then the other got inspired? I have no clue. But they were both on the White Album. They were part of the Esher demos done at George's house. Paul's went on to become one of the best songs on the White Album. John's On the Road to Rishikesh, I Was Happy More or Less. Horrible song. So that never went beyond.
But wait,
however, that never went on beyond the demo stage. Although they flirted with the song in Let It Be Twickenham rehearsals. You can see them playing with it again, but it never got recorded properly. John realized that the lyrics were crap, but the tune was really a lovely tune, and so he rewrote it completely, the whole new lyrics, and it became "Jealous Guy" on the Imagine album. So,
very nice.
Child of Nature, Mother Nature's Son. That's our token for the pagans out there who are.
There you go. I'm going back in time again, just a couple years, just because I told David this story. It's funny, all the years, David and I have known each other over 50 years now, from junior high school. And when we were making this list together, I put on Strawberry Fields Forever, and he said, "What? What?" He didn't say it.
You ignorant slut.
Yeah. Strawberry Fields Forever, one of probably the great A/B sides, right? AA side, double A, whatever you want to call it. Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, about their childhood areas in Liverpool. Well, I remembered, it's one of those vivid memories that I remember the first time I heard this song. So it was 1966. I was 12 years old, probably even 11, I was 12 years old, 67, or I'm sorry, early 67. I was 12 years old, 12 and a half. And I had a little clock radio next to my bed at night, and I'd put it on. And the radio station, local station was on and played the new Beatles song. And they played Strawberry Fields Forever. I had never heard it before. And I remember my eyes were closed and I listened to it. And I have no idea why. I didn't know what the song's about. None of us knew it was about an orphanage, or it was not about an orphanage, but it was written with the name. And Strawberry Fields is an orphanage in Liverpool. And it was the first time, I'm going to get verklempt now here. This is where the spiritual thing came in on this song. First time in my life I ever thought about, well, I'm not going to live forever. I thought about death. And I thought about death as a personal thing. Not afraid of it, but it was just an eerie feeling. And I thought that Strawberry Fields was about a cemetery for a long time for some reason. I don't know where I heard that. I thought I heard rumors, but maybe I'm just making that up looking back on it all these years. So it always sort of, it was kind of the first spiritual song with Beatles for me, because it affected me personally. So Strawberry Fields Forever, I'm throwing it in there because of my personal take on it.
I always, it's one of those, you get these questions like, what's your favorite Beatles song? And you have to come up with an answer. The longest time I picked Strawberry Fields. I pulled this, share. There's a really good bootleg.
With our photograph on the back.
Well, yeah, and it's the entire 2-disc set is nothing but Strawberry Fields. Really nice package. The bootleggers, here's the booklet, used our book. They stole that on the cover. Yeah, actually, this is the one from inside. It's a different picture. This is.
Yeah. They took a.
It's not. They didn't use that. That's on a different bootleg. But
there is one bootleg. Somebody used this one.
You are correct.
This was a promo book, postcard from our book.
But if you like the song Strawberry Fields, this takes it from all of John's demos from like the first. He wrote it in Spain while doing How I Won the War, and the first demo is just he barely has a fragment of the song. He has a little bit of the second verse. The lyrics aren't complete. But we have a guest coming in.
Okay. I think we should speed it along and get into the next thing.
We haven't talked about much.
What?
Mr. Harrison.
Well, that's who I'm thinking we should go into next. Before I do that, I'm just going to briefly show just this one song. I'm not going to say much about it, but Instant Karma is going to get you. You can think about that in so many ways here. Karma could lead into George Harrison, maybe.
Sure, why not?
Okay, take it away. Oh.
Well, I mean, you talk about religion. I mean, God, there's so many George Harrison songs. My Sweet Lord, I guess, would be the big one. It's his biggest hit.
Number one hit, not in America. I don't think it hit number one. Hit number one in the UK.
I think it was. I think My Sweet Lord was the top-selling song in 1970.
Was it? Well,
it
was definitely a top album in the States and around the world. It really kind of knocked the socks off. It did better than any of the other Beatles solo albums in that first year.
Of course, he got in a lot of trouble for that song, didn't he?
It's a great song. One thing I'm going to notate, I didn't bring it to showcase here, but before he died, he did a reversion of it. I hate that version of it. Yeah, I hate the color. I don't like that remix.
All right. This is George put this together, the 30th anniversary. The thing I like about this is, he was a very pious guy, but George had a wicked sense of humor too. So here's, the CD covers, 30 years later, it's all the factories built there. The remake, which I guess he tried to strip away the chiffons, He's So Fine. Out of the song, and it wrecked the song.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, thing is, this album, What Is Life? Beware of Darkness, Awaiting on You All. Now, All Things Must Pass, but Awaiting on You All, to me, is a perfect song. It's got the big Phil Spector build-up and explosion. And I know there's been a lot of talk lately about the reissue. We want to see a stripped-down version, fine. But I listened to this again, and I thought it sounded amazing. The recording is my original American version. It sounds great. And Awaiting You All is really a stab at the Catholic Church. As religious as George Harrison was, it was more of a spiritual religion. He would mock all these people who used religion as a selling tool. You don't need a church. You don't need a physical building. You don't have to go pray together in a church. You can get it from inside, within you, without you. Right there is, says it all. I mean, that's George Harrison, and that's the way that my spirituality comes through when it does. I don't need someone to, get on TV and say, pass the bucket, send her check so I can buy another friggin' jetliner. But the great line in that song was really attacking the Pope at the time. I guess that was Pope Paul, maybe. And the Pope owns 51% of General Motors. The stock exchange is the only thing he's qualified to quote us. Great line.
And interesting that he highlighted that verse, because that verse is the only verse in the entire album where that lyric isn't reproduced. He kept that verse out.
Yeah, so, it's not in the lyric sheet.
Kind of, highlighting it. The Pope owns 51% of General Motors. The anti-Catholic thing on Brainwashed, which is his posthumous album, there's a song called Vatican Blues, P2 Vatican Blues. Another thing, same thing, a little snarky bits about Catholics. But before we get into that one, let's with All Things Must Pass. Okay. One of my favorite tracks on it closes the album, "Hear Me, Lord."
Beautiful song.
Beautiful long song. I love the bridge on that.
Above and below us.
Yeah, that exactly. I love the melody of that. Now that was rehearsed by the Beatles. I don't picture that as a Beatle track at all. I can't see them doing it. But
could be interesting, but
it was demoed. They flirted with it slightly during the Let It Be sessions. But beautiful album, beautiful track.
Great. I mean, this is probably his most overtly spiritual album. Living in the Material World. Was it 1973?
Two or three.
Three.
This is the deluxe CD version. It's all over the floor now.
Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth. That was actually a hit single. This album sold. It did pretty well.
Well, my favorite tracks, I mean, that is probably the most religious album out there.
Yeah, very spiritual.
The song Be Here Now.
Beautiful acoustic guitar, right?
It's this very dirge-like. I mean, it is just this slow song. But it is one of the most beautiful ones there. And it's, for living in these pandemic days, remember, be here now. The past is the past, and just everybody know.
That's why, identify. I mean, I was talking about, I'd never mentioned it, but going back to the Inner Light, that was influenced by Taoism. And he got into these Eastern religion in your filthy Eastern ways. Maslow should never do an accent. He always does the wrong accent. I always get slapped around because everyone says every accent I do sounds like the Pepperidge Farms man. Pepperidge Farms, hot cross buns.
He's not the one with the ring.
Exactly. I mean, the Lord loves the one that loves the Lord. The day the world gets round, that is all. I mean, living in the material world. I mean, what a beautiful thing. But he kind of wore his religion on his sleeve, I guess. And he played his music and he expressed it, but he never tried to sell his religion. And the thing that bugs me, we're talking about religions here, I'm just going to say it from my point of view. I fucking hate when people try to sell their religion to others. When they knock on their door, give you the pamphlet, have you found this? Have you found him? Have you found me? Have you found it? I mean, everybody's God is better than the other person's God. So that's why I like that George Harrison's take on that. It's not about the physical thing. It's not about the materialistic. Now, of course, he lived in his fucking castle, so living in the material world certainly did. And he writes that song. It's on his next album, or one of the later. It's on 33 and a Third, where he gave people in the band the Mercedes, and he didn't give the people the right gift.
All up to what you value.
That's all what you value. So, I mean, he had the right attitude from my point of view on it. And, we talk about that. In fact, in our book, we actually went to, this is actually a cool record. a Radha Krishna Temple record.
That's a great record. That's
a great record. George Harrison produced it. It's on Apple Records. Came out in 1970, I guess, or 71, whatever. John Kosh did the cover. John Kosh also did Let It Be and Abbey Road. Did the design. Did all of Linda Ronstadt albums. A designer. But this is good.
The opening track, Govinda, is a great pop song.
What's the album? It's not this album. What's the one? I am missing you. Oh,
that's Ravi Shankar. Happy birthday. Family and Friends, first Dark Horse album. That's not as good a record, but that's a good record. Produced by George.
I mean, George is really in the Krishna temple, and also the Krishna temple in a certain way. There's a vegetarianism, and there was a whole. In fact, in our book, it's not there anymore. Right near Soho Square, I believe, was the Radha Krishna temple. They had their restaurant there.
You have a vegetarian lunch every Tuesday or something like that.
Yeah, right. And they got a lot of bad rap because it got to be, if you ever seen the parody comedy Airplane, all the Radha Krishna temples used to always give flowers and want donations at airports. It kind of it got erected for them in a way, I think. But this is a gorgeous worldly album, I think. Wonderful.
He took the Hare Krishna. He made a Hare Krishna mantra from that album was actually a hit in the UK, I believe.
There you go. Just to show you picture sleeve, the American picture sleeve of My Sweet Lord, and Isn't It a Pity? And this is a Patha Marconi French version of it.
There's one Beatle we've left out.
The Spiritual and Musical Journey of George Harrison. We left out, what's my name?
Beat aloud.
Now,
he does have one song though, so you can do that. He has one song, right, that kind of fits the theme.
Yeah, I mean,
I couldn't hum it for you if you put a gun to my head.
No, I couldn't either. And the name on the song is called "Oh My Lord." Ringo actually got a little more spiritual way after he, quit drinking and quit drugging and all that stuff. In the last 10, 15 years, 20 years, whatever, he's gotten more spiritual. I mean, he doesn't pontificate it and go on and on. I don't remember when did this album came out. Was it 10 years ago?
Something like that.
15 years ago? I can't remember.
An okay record.
A beautiful, nice package. Choose Love, Ringo Starr.
Peace and love.
Anything else to finish off on?
I think that's our list. Yeah.
I'm the Eggman, Goo Goo Goo.
Very religious song.
Thank you, David. This is, we all wish you a happy Passover, happy Easter.
Happy Michaelmas, everybody.
Yeah, and if you're an atheist or not religious, that's fine too. This is a spiritual side, whatever you have inside here. And especially in these days, love your neighbor, man. Mazzy loves you and
Bacon loves you.
Bacon. You love bacon, except the vegetarians in the world. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I hate these. Could you look for the fucking... Okay. You there?
I'm there. Are we off the air?
We're off the air. Oh, wait. No, we're not. Yes, we are. We're off the air.
All right.
Turn the red light on. I'm going to end meeting.